Well, hey, it's Vince. Listen, we're here to talk about life, the fun of it, the mess of it, and the marks it sometimes leaves behind. But thank God for grace that removes even the stubborn stains. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first official podcast of Stubborn Stains. My name is Vince Gibson, and I'll be your host along the way. And I know many of you might be asking, who is this Vince Gibson? I ask myself the same questions many times, but for those that don't know me and aren't familiar, I grew up in East Tennessee, still live in the great state of Tennessee in eastern Tennessee. I actually live in the home that I grew up in and spent many a day catching crawdads and gigging frogs, getting beat up by my brother. You know, remember those days where your mom said that don't come in until it gets dark? And so a lot of memories in the home that I grew up in, and so I love living in East Tennessee. So my life's been revolved around the Lord. Most all of it, I actually was saved at 5 years old, came to know Christ, actually in the same home, amazingly enough, that I live in now. I can tell you the exact location in my living room where I was saved for the first time. And so that began my journey with Christ. It was real. I knew He was real. But at age 12, I actually was called into the ministry. I was at a student-led service one night, and man, the Lord was really there, and I was actually laying down on my face and had my Bible beside me. And I don't advise this, please. This is not the way to begin your real walk with the Lord. But it was one of those moments where I just opened my Bible, and it opened to Jeremiah, where it says, "Before you were formed in the womb, I knew you." And so that moment began my calling into the ministry. Don't know what that looked like at the time. I just know that God had something for me. Around that same time, I just happened to pick up keyboards and start playing keyboards and learning. And my mom and dad were good enough to send me to some lessons that I attended about once to 3 times and gave up because I didn't like the format. Not much on theology when it comes to music, but I have played music now for 40 years of my life. It's been amazing. It's been the love of my life. I actually, when I was about 20, up to this point, 12 to 20, I had been playing on a worship team. And interestingly enough, I'll finish that story in a minute, but playing on a worship team at a particular church, by the way, I pastor that church now. Hard to believe what God has done, but played keys on a worship team for a long time. At about 20 years old, I was thrust into leading worship at that same church, and I was not ready. Probably not ready spiritually, not ready with skill-wise. In fact, at that point, I couldn't even play a fast song and sing at the same time, and so I had to scramble. How many of us have ever scrambled? And so I scrambled, and finally the Lord brought me along, and so I began to actually lead worship at about 20 years of age. As time progressed, God just continued to do things in my life, and I've been so blessed to be able to lead worship for some really unbelievable places and some unbelievable conferences. I've been able to lead worship even internationally in London and just Finland, and took a good friend with me to those places. Jojo, if you're listening, shout out. Love you much, man. Miss you. And Katie both, and those kids. And so it has been and still is an incredible journey with the Lord. I mean, that's just a small portion of my story. You heard me just say that same church that I grew up in, actually the other day I was trying to figure out how many years I've been here. And man, I've been at this church for about 40 years. And most of that has not been as pastor. I've spent most of that leading worship here, took some time away, and then came back after about a 12-year stint at a different ministry, not having a clue what God was going to do, just simply still leading worship, and came back, and God saw fit to ask me to pastor this place. And trust me, and the Lord had a big wrestling match over that. But how many of you know when you wrestle with the Lord, there's only one option, that is surrender. And so surrendering to the call and the thing that He had asked me to do was paramount to me, and obedience is paramount. So I said yes, and just a little over a year ago, I began pastoring here at Foothills, and it has just been incredible. We have the most incredible congregation here. It's not what this podcast is about, but I'm just trying to give you some background into who I am. We have incredible people here, like Dramalists, and not just Dramalists, like these folks want to grow in the Lord. We have an amazing worship team. We have amazing people that serve. I can't brag enough on what God has given me the privilege to lead in this place. And so it continues to be an amazing journey. God is doing amazing things here, growing us internally, externally. It's just too much to talk about on this single podcast. But let's get to the real thing. Why did I decide to name this podcast Stubborn Stains? Kind of a weird title, if you will. Well, a little more about myself. I'm not a skinny guy, and don't say it out loud if you're already thinking it. I'm a fluffy guy. That's a good word. I'm fluffy. And so in my fluffiness, I am not a huge clothes person. I have clothes, but of course I have clothes. Like that's a stupid thing to say. Of course I have clothes. But my closet is not full of clothes. It's full of clothes, but those clothes are from my skinnier to medium to larger period. And so, you hang onto those clothes hoping one day I'll get back in those clothes. And so those clothes are still in my closet. And one day I'll get back in those clothes. Stop laughing. And so it's going to happen. I'm trying right now to eat better and do better. But back to the story. I love to wear T-shirts. Now, I don't usually wear a T-shirt on Sundays when I'm speaking or leading worship, but most of my life I'm in a T-shirt. And it seems that no matter how many T-shirts that I buy, and I mean this, I could buy, now I'm particular about my T-shirts. They got to fit a certain way. I can't just, I'm not an Amazon T-shirt guy, right? Like I don't go on Amazon and order T-shirts because I know better. I order T-shirts on Amazon and they're the right size and they look good and they're the right material because I'm big on the feel of my T-shirts. And I get those T-shirts in the mail thinking, oh, here we go. I got 6 T-shirts. And, you try the first one on and you're like, this is not the T-shirt. So believe it or not, I'm a guy that tries T-shirts on because I want them to feel good. I love soft. I have a soft T-shirt on today. But here's the problem with my T-shirts, and here's the problem I have even today, getting ready to put a T-shirt on. It seems that I cannot keep food off of myself. How many of y'all got this issue? Like, it doesn't matter. I'll do everything I can not to drop and stain my T-shirts. I will work hard to eat out over the table sometimes, or even at home if I'm eating in my chair, I'm trying to keep my neck, cringed out there. But it doesn't seem to me that no matter what I try, and my wife would testify to this, no matter what I try, I have many stained T-shirts that I can't really wear out to an event. Now, I might wear them here to my office if I'm going to be by myself or not many interactions during the day. I might wear them at home, of course, or if I'm going to do some yard work. But many of the T-shirts, even this morning as I was getting a T-shirt and this afternoon, in my closet are stained, stubborn stains. I can't get them out. I have tried every washing, stain removal sticks and stones and you name it, I have tried it. And even I've attempted to get these stains out immediately. They're always saying as soon as you stain your shirt, go put some stain removal on it and let it sit. Listen, it don't work. I've tried so many things. And so many of my T-shirts have stubborn, and not just stubborn stains. Many of my T-shirts have permanent stains. And I know in our life, a lot of times we have stubborn stains, and we walk through things that leave impacts and leave marks in our lives. And many times it's hard to walk away from those stains. And here's the thing about the Lord. He removes those stains, but sometimes what we find is those things have made permanent stains in our life. And so now as we mature in the Lord, we're learning how to walk away from those stains. And a lot of those stains will never be gone. A lot of things that we've experienced in our lives, a lot of these T-shirts that are my favorite T-shirts, are stained, and I will still wear them. I have a particular green one that I love, and it's in there right now. And I worked so hard for so many weeks not to stain it, but I finally stained it. But I still wear that T-shirt, and it still has the stains. I just don't wear it to certain places. But man, here's the thing. God matures us, and he moves us into new identities and into new seasons in our lives. And so this stubborn stains is just something I wanted to talk about, and we'll make it a foundation for this podcast. How many things leave stains in our lives, and thank God for his grace. We're going to talk about grace a lot in this podcast, and I'm not just going to limit it to what causes stains in our life, but I'm telling you the Lord is gracious, and he removes our stubborn stains, or at least he allows us to walk on. I'm amazed at the Lord where it says that he throws our sin as far as the east is from the west. And I'm glad he does it, because I can't sometimes. The things I'm supposed to remember, I can't remember. And the things I wish I couldn't remember any longer, I remember every one of them. And so his grace moves us along in our lives. And he begins to make maybe those stains are still there, but they're a little more distant in our lives. And maybe they don't have quite the impact. And so I'm really glad you've joined us. This is going to be a journey. I'm going to have a lot of guests on, not just me. I've got a lot of people in my life that I know have walked with the Lord and have some amazing advice. There's people in my life that are way, way, way more smarter than me that I've got to have on, because they encourage me. There's people in my life that we start talking about topics and they start saying things, and man, they are just versed. If you know what that means, they're wise. And I need those people in my life. And so I have good friends and family and different folks that I want to have on from time to time. And so I'm glad you're on this journey. I'm sure you've got some stubborn stains in your life that maybe you still have. Maybe you're still looking away from. Maybe you're still applying some of that stain stick. But I want to tell you today, God is gracious and he walks with us in this path of maturity. And so I'm glad you're along. So look for more episodes, and it's going to be a great time as we continue on this journey of stubborn stains.